All right. Noah Lyles. Now, this is probably going to bring a little bit of criticism on my behalf because of what I'm going to say about it and how everyone else is reacted to it. Because I have a way more different opinion than, what the NBA players and all them are saying too. So Noah Lyles, he is a track and field superstar. Last week, at 26 years old, he won 3 gold medals at the track and field world championships at Budapest. I might have pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry, but it's in Hungary last week, including victories in the both 100-meter and 200-meter dash. So at a news conference Friday, he was asked about how to grow or improve his sport and responded in part by drawing a distinction between track world championships like himself and those in American pro sports leagues, such as the NBA. And this is what he had to say about it. He said, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the US at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA. So that went on to spark a response from former and current NBA players. So that included Kevin Durant. He wasn't pleased with his comments at all. So he chirped back and said, somebody help this brother. And he wrote that on Instagram, and I actually saw that on Instagram. That was on Sunday evening. Philadelphia 76ers for PJ Tucker also added in and said, can't make this up. And Kendrick Perkins, a retired NBA player and ESPN commentator, wrote and said, put his brain in a bird and the bird will start flying backwards. And then free agent guard Austin Rivers was among those making the argument that because the best basketball players in the world play in the NBA, winning an NBA championship qualifies as world champs.
That right there, Austin Rivers,
Yeah.
1000% true.
Yes. Yes. He said, I don't know what's more cringed, Lyles' comment or his voice and delivery. And then Denver Nuggets for Aaron Gordon, meanwhile, he said, whatever, I'm smoking Buddy in the 200 meters. So this is what I have to say about it. Looking at both sides of this, now you have the NBA side, like I mentioned to you earlier. The reasoning from these backlashes that these players are chirping is because he's saying that the Lyles are saying that you're traveling all over the United States. It's just a league. This is not something that you're competing for to represent your country. So that's why they're chirping back and they're feeling like, well, like what Austin Rivers says, hey, we are, who we are. We still go down every four years to go and represent the country, regardless to how you want to put it. We have some form of putting a world champion on our heads because of the fact that we do still represent the country every 4 years when we go traveling out of the United States to represent the country. So if we're in a league, we can actually go and still crown ourselves as world champions as a team, regardless of we're a league or not. That is more of, them venting their frustration because of how he interpreted. Now, you look at Noah Lyles' side, he has nothing really to go to. He just has track and field, and he's representing the United States every time he steps on that track. he's representing the United States compared to as, the NBA players every 4 years. What they should have also done, at least in my personal opinion, is to try to grab an understanding instead of being vocally insulting on how he had felt, that he was feeling that he was kind of hurt about how the NBA has crowned themselves world champions, and all they get is a world champs, and all they get is gold medals, and they can't even crown themselves world champions. He was just explaining that if the NBA is going to actually crown themselves as world champions, they can do that, but he should actually be the same way. He should be a world champion too, instead of just getting medals. It's just a brief of an understanding of how he is just like feeling. That doesn't make him any more stupider or any more ignorant. He's just saying, hey, he just won his treat too. He just wants to be a world champion also in the United States. But to me, at the same time, it's like, bro, declare yourself as a world champion, regardless. Just do it, because you're winning gold medals. Okay, you're winning medals. Medals represent you as representing the country. Period. Point blank to the end. Now, I'm not saying that you're stupid. I'm not saying that you're ignorant. But what I am saying is that the medals represent you as a world champion. That is what I'm saying. How do you feel about that? Just talk to me on this one. See if we could correlate on this.
I'm just gonna be real with you. What every NBA player responded with was literally something that I probably would have responded with too, because that's a slap to the face. Because that's like them going back and saying the exact same thing that he said, but putting it in the perspective of just as an NBA player. And at the same time, that kind of gets me to a point where that you don't even have to declare yourself as a world champion, because as a track and star player, as a USA representative or a Russia representative or a China representative, you are a world champion regardless to, what you feel about having gold medals. Gold medals is a replica to the NBA World Championship, because everybody from all over comes and win that World Championship. It's not like that it's just the USA. It's not like that it's just like the NBA. It's just there in the United States, and nobody else can come in, just like how it was with the ABA, the American Basketball Association, before they became the National Basketball Association. Right. So at the end of the day, what he said was really a slap to the face to all the NBA players, not just as an American, but also those that comes from outside the NBA to come inside to be able to win the NBA championship, because that is literally exactly not only what they are, but also what he is too. And to me, that was just really a slap to the face to every NBA player that is currently or formerly an NBA player before the ABA day or after the ABA days.
I think they really should have just ignored that, because he just butthurt.
I'm not sure that they should have ignored that, because you do have to hold him accountable for just coming out and just saying some stuff like that.
Well,
he should. Here's the thing: if he really wanted to, if you really wanted to grasp the concept of an understanding from what he was saying, maybe he should have thought about what he said before even saying it. At the end of the day,
the reason why I say that is because he has some kind of hate. I don't know what kind of hate it is, but he's having a hate to where it all has to be about world champion. It's all about world champion somewhere in him. And even if he didn't look at him and those 3 gold medals that he has representing himself as a world champion, to say the least, he is truly hating on how the NBA has declared world champion versus being a track and star.
Right, player. Which is exactly the reason why he should have sat down and thought about that before he said it. He should have thought about that.
He
He
should
should
have.
have thought about why is it that they're declared world NBA champions versus a track and field player that is winning gold medals, when all you should do is just read about the fact that you are a world champion.
Well,
You are a world champion.
well, here's my thing. He should have actually watched the WWF when it came down to Kurt Angle. It's the one thing that he always sported when he was in that ring.
Olympic gold medalist.
His medals. Exactly. Yeah. He's representing his medals. And he should have sat down and looked at him. And of all the times that he has said, I am an Olympic gold medalist, I have represented my country, that has made me world champion. Right. And you see how people get insulted. Well, not people, when he gets insulted when people like Stone Cold, The Undertaker, or anybody else that'll throw his medals out into the river somewhere, or they'll throw his medals into the sewer. He gets offensive. That's the kind of things that he just needs to sit down and watch, because, like you said, they must slap to the face. And that's exactly what those people were doing to Kurt Angle. They must slap to the face. The things that you're representing as a world champion, you're doing these things. And that's just a literal slap to the face.
Well, it is literally the replica of what, he's going through with what the wrestlers had went through when they was, talking about that they're World Wrestling Federation champions or world heavyweight champion, and him having that, gold medalist, and they just like, oh, this is just a gold medalist. You don't know what it's like to be this. But at the end of the day, he knows just as much because he had to compete just as hard. And yes, it is hating at the end of the day, but all at the same time, nobody sits down and think about what they're going to say before they say it.
No. And he felt like that he was trying to answer that question on how to change or grow the sport. But it was more of a hate.
Yeah, because if you just wanted to, he could have just asked the question.
Right.
He could have just asked a rhetorical question and been done with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he would have gotten a lot of responses out of that, but less than the responses that he had got.
Mm-hmm.
Because he shouldn't be butthurt, because he's still a world champion. And
well, that's what he don't understand. It's just like you said, he don't understand it. He don't understand in the world of why is it that they are declaring themselves world champion versus him when he's looking at 3 of them he just won.
Yeah, because it's like you have to travel to win those championships, don't you?
He did. He went to Hungary. He went to Hungary to win those world medals.
My point exactly.
Yeah, I understand everything. I was just kind of like explaining from the two sides that, A, this is how he's feeling, why he's feeling this way, and why the players not rhetorically, actually confronted and trolled him based off of those comments. Sometimes you really just have to think about a lot of these things that you say, but at the same time, you have to kind of like be more respectful to yourself, period. Mm-hmm. You have to be more respectful to yourself, because you look at those medals that you won. You look at those medals, them are saying, hey, bruh, you're a world champion. Mm-hmm. Rather if it's the silver, gold, or the bronze. Now, if you walk up out of there with nothing, maybe this could be a different debate. But, bro, you're a gold medalist. You know what I'm saying? You're a straight gold medalist. You really have no reason to have these type of, arguments. You have no reason for it. That's something you have to really sit down and understand yourself. You got to respect yourself more versus the NBA players. They're doing their thing, and you're doing your thing too. So
exactly, you're doing your thing. Yes,
you have to be more respectful to, giving more props to the NBA players, because they're playing freaking 82 games,
right?
Plus more if they're in the playoffs in order to compete to win the championship, and they're traveling all over the United States, rather if it's a league or not. That's what you're doing. So sometimes you have to kind of just put yourself in a position to be like, oh, well, hey, they're competing for a world title too.
Mm-hmm.
They have division battles that they have to face. They have to go to interconferences to face, and they travel too. It may be in the United States, but they're traveling too. They're going to expand. They've already expanded, so that counts for something too. So you got to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah,
say the least.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me. You want to add anything else to that?
No.
Yeah. So that's it for us here for Darrell's reactions. I appreciate everyone actually taking the time to watch this. Appreciate it very much. Don't forget to check out all of our gaming content and other clips and podcast videos and stuff like that. And don't forget to follow us on social media too at DTST2414 on Twitter and the Watch Brothers on Instagram. But until then, I'm Darrell. Dan's right across from me.
Yep.
All right. Until then, we're out.